The sun was dying in the western sky, sinking behind the distant mountains like a wounded beast, bleeding gold across the desert. The wind whispered through the sagebrush, carrying the scent of dust, sweat, and sorrow. Rancher Eli Turner rode slow on his black horse, his eyes scanning the endless horizon. He had been out since dawn looking for strayed cattle, but something in the stillness of the desert made him stop. A sound cut through the silence, soft, trembling, almost lost to the wind. It wasn't the cry of an animal. It was the voice of a child. Eli reined in his horse, heart thudding as he listened again. The sound came faintly from beyond the ridge. He spurred his horse forward, hooves kicking up clouds of dust. As he reached the top, he saw them, two small shapes in the dying light. A woman lay motionless on the sand, her dress torn and her skin pale under the fading sun. Beside her knelt a little girl no more than 7, clutching a rag doll with both arms. Her golden hair tangled in the wind, her cheeks streaked with dirt and tears. She was whispering something to the still body beside her. Eli dismounted slowly, moving closer. The girl looked up, startled, her blue eyes wide with fear. She clutched the doll tighter, pressing it to her chest. "It's all right, sweetheart," Eli said softly, his voice low and steady. "I ain't here to hurt you." She stared at him for a long moment before whispering, "She won't wake up. I told her the sun's going down, but she won't wake up." Eli knelt beside the woman, and the truth hit him like a punch. She was gone, her face calm but lifeless. The desert had taken her hours ago. Wagon tracks stretched off into the distance, half buried in sand. Whoever had been with them had moved on and left them behind. He swallowed hard, then turned to the girl. "What's your name, little one?" She didn't answer, just hugged her doll tighter. "That your ma?" Eli asked gently. She nodded, eyes glistening. "She told me to wait here. She said someone would come." Eli looked at the horizon. The light was fading fast and the cold night air was already creeping in. Coyotes would be roaming soon. He couldn't leave a child out here. He stood up and said firmly, "Listen to me, kid. You can't stay here. You're coming with me." Her eyes widened. "But Mama, I'll take care of her," he promised. "You come with me now and we'll make sure she rests proper come morning." The little girl hesitated, then slowly reached out her small, trembling hand. Eli took it, lifting her gently into his arms. She clung to him, her face buried in his chest. He mounted his horse, holding her close, and took one last look at the still figure on the sand. "I'll come back for you," he whispered. The horse moved forward, steady and sure, as the night fell over the desert. The girl looked back one last time at the shape that had been her mother, then turned her face into Eli's shoulder, sobbing quietly. Above, Eli spoke softly. "You're safe now, kid. You're safe." By dawn, the horizon was painted gold. Inside Eli's small cabin, the fire crackled softly. The girl sat at the table, her doll in her lap, while Eli made breakfast. "Eat up, sweetheart," he said gently. "You need strength." She stared at the bread and milk in front of her, then whispered, "Can we go see Mama now?" Eli's chest tightened. "We'll go soon," he said quietly. "After you eat." When she finished, he saddled up the horse again, and they rode out to where he'd found her. The wind had already covered most of the tracks, but the place felt just as heavy, just as still. The girl slid off the horse and ran to her mother's side. Eli removed his hat and bowed his head. He worked in silence, digging into the stubborn earth with his shovel until his hands burned. The little girl stood close, clutching her doll, her face wet with tears. When it was done, Eli wrapped the woman in a blanket and lowered her gently into the ground. The girl bent down, whispering something only the wind could hear, then looked up at him. "You promise you'll take care of me?" she asked softly. Eli met her gaze. "I promise." Back at the ranch, the girl followed him everywhere. She was quiet but curious, her small feet padding behind him through the dust. Eli taught her how to feed the chickens, fetch water, and brush down the horse. "His name's Duke," he said. She smiled faintly. "Hi, Duke." The horse snorted softly, nuzzling her hand, and for the first time since he'd met her, Eli saw her smile. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low, Eli sat on the porch strumming his old guitar. The girl came out and sat beside him, her doll in her lap. For a long while, they just listened to the quiet. Finally, she asked, "Mr. Turner, why did you help me?" He stopped playing. "Because once someone helped me when I was lost too," he said. "And I figure the world don't have enough of that anymore." She looked at him thoughtful. "Mama said good people always come when you need them most." Eli nodded slowly. She was right. The desert breeze carried the scent of sage and earth. The stars began to appear one by one, bright against the endless sky. Lila leaned her head against Eli's arm and whispered, "I miss her." "I know," he said quietly. "But she's watching over you now, proud of her brave little girl." She smiled faintly, her eyes drifting shut as she fell asleep. Eli looked down at her, his chest heavy but full. For years he had lived alone, his wife gone, his days empty, but now, holding this child, he felt something new stirring inside him. Purpose. The next morning they rode into town for supplies. People stared. Eli Turner, the quiet rancher, with a little girl clinging to his hand. "That your kin, Turner?" the shopkeeper asked. "She is now," Eli said simply. Rumors spread fast, but Eli didn't care. He had made a promise. That was enough. When they returned to the ranch that evening, Lila helped him unpack the bags, humming a tune as the golden light poured through the windows. The place no longer felt empty. It felt alive. That night, as she stood by the window looking up at the stars, she whispered, "Mama's up there now, isn't she?" Eli joined her at the window. "Yeah," he said softly, "and she's proud of you." Lila turned to him, eyes wide and innocent. "And maybe she's proud of you too." Eli chuckled quietly. "Maybe so, kid. Maybe so." Outside, the wind swept across the open plains, carrying with it the quiet hum of life, the promise of tomorrow. For the first time in years, Eli didn't feel alone. He looked down at the sleeping girl, the small hand clutching that old rag doll, and whispered to the night, "You're safe now, Lila. I'll keep you safe." The firelight flickered across the walls, and the stars burned high above the desert. In a world that often forgot mercy, one act of kindness had brought two lost souls together and turned pain into hope. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. More powerful Western tales of love, loss, and redemption are coming your way. Stay tuned for the next story that will move your soul and keep the Wild West alive in your heart.